She doesn't fall for you. She falls for the gravity you've become. You think it's about saying the right words, doing the right things, being good to her. But good men get ghosted every day. See, most men confuse attraction with affection. They believe if they show care, if they're present, if they're nice, she'll choose them. She might for a moment, but obsession that lives on another frequency. It's not about kindness, not about charm. Obsession isn't rational. It doesn't follow effort. It responds to presence, to something deeper. There are two kinds of men she encounters. The first is generous, eager, available. He does everything right and still vanishes from her memory. The second says little, moves with purpose, and somehow she can't stop replaying him in her mind. Why? Because women don't remember the man who chased their attention. They remember the one who didn't need it. The man who walked like he already had something far more sacred than her validation himself. This isn't about games. It's not about pretending. It's about energy, the kind you carry when you're not performing. In this video, you're not just going to learn how to attract women. You're going to see why she can't forget certain men even if they barely said a word. 7 traits, not techniques, not lines, laws of inner gravity. Each one reveals something you've forgotten. Each one peels away the need to be liked. Because this isn't about becoming who she wants. It's about becoming who you stopped being. And when you do, you won't just change how she sees you, you'll change how you see yourself.
Trait 1. The magnetic pull of ambition. The man with a mission doesn't wait to be chosen. He is already chosen by destiny. Most men wander through life waiting to be wanted. They think if they dress right, speak right, treat her right, she'll choose them. But the truth is brutal. No woman chooses a man who hasn't chosen himself. Your ambition is not about chasing money. It's not about posting success. It's about momentum, direction, depth. It's about waking up every day with a pull inside your chest, something larger than her, larger than approval, larger than comfort. Because a man without mission is a man waiting for permission. And the moment she senses you're orbiting her more than your path, her desire begins to fade. Not because she doesn't care, but because nature does not crave stagnation. Women are drawn to fire, but not the kind that burns wildly, the kind that burns steadily with purpose, with restraint, with vision. It's not about what you've achieved. It's about where you're headed and who you become on the way. When she sees that your train is moving forward with or without her, she either grows to meet it, or she watches you pass by. Let her feel that you've built something before she arrived, and that you'll continue building even if she leaves. Let her feel that her moods don't distract you, that her silence doesn't pause you, that your days are dictated by something far more sacred than emotion, your calling. This is not arrogance, it's clarity. This is not about dominance, it's about spiritual leadership. When a man walks in his mission, even in silence, he speaks louder than the ones trying to impress. And when you do that, she doesn't just notice, she adjusts, because ambition is not a resume line, it's a gravitational pull. Trait 2. Mystery that fuels her imagination. She doesn't want to know everything about you. She wants to feel something she can't quite explain. See, when a man becomes fully readable, he becomes replaceable. Because once she thinks she's figured you out, once she's labeled you, boxed you, decoded you, her mind relaxes. And when her mind relaxes, her desire fades. Not because she stopped liking you, but because the unknown died. Most men overexpose themselves. They explain every thought, justify every move, over-text, over-talk. They think clarity builds comfort. But comfort isn't the currency of obsession. Uncertainty is. Mystery isn't about being cold. It's not about withholding affection or playing games. It's about restraint, refined restraint. It's about letting her feel that there's more to you than what she sees, that there are rooms inside you she hasn't entered yet, and never will without invitation. She asks what you're doing tonight. Most men answer like a calendar, watching Netflix. Might hit the gym, nothing much. But you don't offer details. You offer ambiguity that breathes. Got a few things lined up? What about you? That's it. Just enough to be real. Just enough to stay out of reach. And now, she's wondering who is he with, where is he going? What world is he moving through that I'm not part of yet? That wondering, that gap between knowing and imagining, that's where the obsession starts. Mystery doesn't mean being fake. It means being intentional. About what you share, about how much you give, about when you go silent. Because in a world full of men desperate to be understood, be the one who makes her feel instead. When she can't figure you out, she can't put you down. And when she can't put you down, you stay in her mind. Not because you said too much, but because you knew when to say less. Trait 3. Emotional control that commands respect. She doesn't test you to hurt you. She tests you to see if what you say matches what you are. Most men crumble at the first sign of feminine emotion. A delayed text, a cold tone, a sudden mood swing, and they panic. They write paragraphs. They ask what's wrong. They chase clarity. Not because they're weak, but because they were never taught what real strength looks like in the face of emotional tension. They think connection comes from exposure, from being emotionally open, emotionally honest, emotionally raw all the time. But honesty without control isn't intimacy, it's leakage, because emotion without center doesn't build trust. It creates noise, and women don't crave noise. They crave depth. She doesn't get obsessed with the man who wears his heart on his sleeve. She obsesses over the one who feels everything and shows only what he chooses. The one who doesn't flinch when the mood shifts, who doesn't match chaos with chaos, who doesn't need to fix the silence between them because his center is not up for negotiation. And that, right there, is what makes her stay, not out of logic, but instinct. She pulls away, gets distant, says less. It's not random. It's her way of asking the question she'll never say out loud. Are you emotionally sovereign, or do I own your peace? Most men fold. They try to win back a moment, but the man who holds his ground calm, still, undisturbed, he doesn't just earn respect. He becomes it. You must become the lighthouse. Still, tall, silent, even as the waves crash harder, not to prove anything to her, but to prove something to yourself, that your peace is not something she can take. Because once you master emotional control, you're no longer reacting to her, you're leading her. And that leadership, that's what her body remembers, even when her words say nothing. Trait 4. Unshakable emotional frame. It's not when things are easy that your power is revealed. It's when the room shifts, when someone throws shade, when the tension rises, when silence gets heavy and all eyes turn toward you. That's when she watches, not with her eyes, but with her intuition. She doesn't care what you say when you're comfortable. She cares how you move when the air tightens. Most men, they overcompensate. They talk too much, laugh too loud, defend too fast, because they don't trust their own presence to speak for them. But the magnetic man, he doesn't react. He pauses. He breathes. He lets silence hold the weight until his next word becomes the sharpest thing in the room. And when he does speak, it's clean, calm, without decoration, because his worth is not up for debate. You don't argue to protect your pride. You don't perform to impress her friends. You simply are a man who carries his value like quiet steel, and the room adjusts, because presence doesn't need permission. She sees it, not in your words, but in your stillness, not in how you charm the crowd, but in how little you need them. That's the moment she leans in, because while most men try to be loud, you've become the gravity no one can ignore. It's not the fire that commands the space. It's the one who stays warm while others burn. Trait 5, controlled polarity. She's emotional. She's wild. She moves like water without warning. And that's not a problem. It's her nature. But most men, when faced with that storm, they forget their own. They try to fix her feelings. They over-explain. They collapse into apology. Or worse, they escalate. They believe that being in tune means being entangled. But empathy doesn't mean erosion. It means seeing her waves rise and still choosing to stand. Because she doesn't want you to match her storm. She wants to feel your stillness inside of it. When she cries, yells, accuses, withdraws, she's not asking you to join the chaos. She's asking, can you hold space without losing shape? That's the test. And the truth. Most men fail it. Not because they're cruel, but because their emotional center was never built. They've spent years outsourcing peace, pleasing, explaining, performing, but polarity. That's not about pleasing, it's about presence. Let her feel whatever she needs to feel. Let her shout, let her doubt, let her run circles around her own fears. But don't follow, don't chase her into her storm. Just stand there rooted, slow breathing, untangled, and watch what happens. Her chaos will rise, then crash, then collapse, and in the silence that follows, she will feel one thing safe. Not because you saved her, but because you didn't fold. Controlled polarity isn't about power over her. It's about power within yourself. And when she feels that, she melts not into your logic, but into your gravity. Because deep down, what a woman truly desires is the man who can love her fire without losing his flame. Trait 6, non-attachment to outcome. The man who can walk away calmly, completely, is the man she can't walk away from. Attachment is easy. It disguises itself as care, as love, as effort. But underneath, there's fear, the fear of losing her, of losing the feeling, of losing yourself if she slips away. And fear, it always smells. No matter how well you mask it with sweet words or overcommitment, she feels it. And it kills the very thing you're trying to protect. Because neediness, even in small doses, makes her feel like the container holding your identity. And no woman wants that weight. See, women don't become obsessed with the man who clings. They become obsessed with the man who could leave, but doesn't. The man who looks her in the eyes and says with presence, not performance, I want you, but I don't need you to be whole. She texts less. You don't panic. She says she's confused. You don't write essays trying to be understood. You don't chase. You don't beg. You don't fold. You breathe. You stay grounded. You continue. Because you were never chasing her love. You were walking your path. And the moment she feels that, she realizes something most men never give her the chance to feel. You weren't trying to win her. You'd already won yourself. This is not emotional coldness. It's internal sovereignty. It's the calm clarity that says, if you stay, good. If you go, I still stand. That's what makes her feel the contrast. That's what makes her think at night, long after the silence. Because obsession doesn't come from trying to hold her. It comes from never letting go of yourself. Trait 7. Unshakable passion. Without passion, even power feels empty. You can master the silence. You can command the room. You can hold your frame so still that nothing shakes you. But if you have no fire inside, she will feel the emptiness. Because stillness without purpose is just stagnation. And women don't crave a man who stands still for no reason. They crave a man who stands still because he's facing something worth moving toward. Your passion isn't something you show. It's something you become. It's in how you train, how you write, how you speak about the thing that wakes you up before the world does. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to burn for something. Because a man without passion becomes forgettable, not because he isn't good, but because he isn't alive. And if your life doesn't awaken you, how can she feel alive next to it? Most men fade. They numb out, scroll endlessly, wait for some future moment to light them up again. But you don't wait. You become the fire. And in a world full of dimmed souls and distracted minds, that fire becomes unforgettable. She's not looking for the man who knows all the answers. She's looking for the one who is still chasing better questions, the one who refuses to go cold, the one who wakes up every day and still wants it not out of ego, but out of reverence for the life he's building. That passion, that's what sets everything else on fire. That's what she feels in your silence, in your eyes, in the way you walk into a room not looking for anything, but carrying everything. So be that man, not the loudest, not the most polished, but the one who's still burning long after most have gone cold. So now you see, obsession isn't something you chase. It's something you radiate. It's not born from words, gifts, or constant effort. It's born from energy, the kind that moves without needing to be noticed. These 7 traits, they're not techniques. They're echoes of a man who has chosen to rise from the noise, to step out of performance, out of need, out of proving. He no longer reacts. He no longer seeks. He simply becomes a man of presence, of posture, of purpose. Not loud, but undeniable. Because when your energy is sovereign, when you no longer trade truth for attention, when you no longer abandon yourself for closeness, you become something rare. You become the gravity. She doesn't orbit you because you try to pull her in. She orbits you because she can't escape the field you've become. And even in silence, you stay with her. Not because you chased her, but because you finally stopped chasing anything but your path. If this spoke to something deeper in you, not the performer, but the man beneath him, then drop this in the comments. I stopped performing, not for her, not for approval, not for the world, just for you. And then send this to a brother who's been losing himself trying to be loved. Remind him he doesn't need to be chosen. He needs to choose himself. Because you weren't born to be liked. You were born to become undeniable.